Let me paint a picture you'll recognize. You're at the grocery store. You reach past the full fat yogurt because some part of your brain has been trained to believe fat is the enemy. And you pick up the low fat one instead. It says healthy right there on the front. If that's you, I completely understand. We were all taught this. We've been conditioned to believe that low fat dairy is actually the answer. For decades, low fat was practically a synonym for good for you. But here's what they didn't print on that carton. When they took the fat out, they took out a lot of the nutrition with it. They made it spike your blood sugar higher. And very often, they poured sugar right back in to fix the taste. You were sold the worst of both worlds. Let me show you exactly what I mean. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? On this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom-free. Now, before we get into the dairy aisle, I have a free resource to help you start eating to support your hormones right away. Just comment the word guide below or go to drgayla.com/links and I'll send it right over. You can also just scan the QR code on the screen. Here's the biology that the low fat label ignores. Some of the most important nutrients in dairy, vitamins A, D, E, and K, are fat soluble. That means they literally need fat to be carried into your body and absorbed. So when you buy fat-free dairy, you're not just removing calories, you're removing the vehicle those vitamins ride in. You're paying for nutrition you can't fully absorb. And before you think you can just switch to supplementing with vitamins, you need to understand that these vitamins A, D, E, and K that are fat soluble also can be taken in too great a quantity, especially if you don't get them from your diet. Our bodies are intelligent and they know to take what they need and excrete the rest. But if we take supplements that provide too much of these vitamins, it can end up causing a problem with your liver because your liver's got to process all those additional substances, regardless of what they are. So let's get back to it and talk about your blood sugar. Fat slows digestion and blunts the rise in blood sugar after you eat. Take the fat out, and what's left? The milk sugar. It hits your bloodstream faster and higher. For a midlife woman already fighting stubborn weight and energy crashes, that's the opposite of what you want. And finally, the taste problem. Fat carries flavor and creaminess. When you strip it out, the product tastes like chalk. So manufacturers add sugar, gums, and fillers to make it palatable. That's how a healthy, low-fat fruit yogurt can end up with as much sugar as a dessert. So I wanted to share this with you. At one point, when I was doing the research related to the best approach for how we consume our calories, essentially, I ran across something that I thought was really poignant. It said that if you are craving sugar, the absolute best thing you can do is to eat a dessert with a super high fat content. And you can see why now, because that fat is going to also result in it creating less of a blood sugar spike. But you want to know what they recommended? The full, rich, creamy ice cream. And so one of the things that I turn to when I'm really in this kind of situation is gelato. Stracciatelle gelato is my absolute favorite. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to get it imported, it may even have cream that is going to cause less of a reaction for those of us who are pretty sensitive to dairy. So, what does the research actually say about this full fat dairy? A very large observational study called Pure, published in the Lancet, followed 136,384 adults across 24 countries on 5 continents. In that study, people who consumed about 3 servings of whole fat dairy per day had lower observed rates of death and major cardiovascular disease compared with people who consumed less than half a serving per day. That doesn't prove full fat dairy caused better health outcomes, but it does challenge the old idea that whole fat dairy should automatically be avoided. I will also say that since this study was global, some of these countries definitely process dairy differently from the way we do it in the United States typically. And so I do find that avoiding dairy can be very helpful for the women that I work with. Most of us have some level of food sensitivity related to dairy. And so if you can switch to sheep's milk dairy or really just avoid dairy unless you get the dairy that has the genetic structure that better matches what is produced in Europe, for example. So here's the bigger pattern that I want you to see. The low fat dairy story is just one example of how we've been conditioned to fear the wrong things while the real culprits like added sugar and chronic stress go unaddressed. I made another video on my channel that I titled The Truth About Midlife Weight Gain, and it pulls all of this together and explains why midlife weight struggles are often tied to stress, metabolism, hormones, and the daily choices we were taught to trust. I'll link it here so you can watch that next, but be sure to subscribe too because I share these root cause truths every week. So, what do you actually do at the store? First, buy full fat. Choose whole milk, yogurt, real cheese. I look for sheep's milk cheese, and whole milk if dairy agrees with you. The fat is a feature, not a flaw. When you choose fat free or reduced fat dairy, you're actually stripping away crucial fat soluble nutrients. For example, reduced fat and fat free dairy products contain only 5% to 22% of the vitamin K2 found in full fat versions. You absolutely need vitamin K2 to keep calcium in your bones and stop it from calcifying your blood vessels. This is a massive priority for our cardiovascular and skeletal health in midlife. Plus, the unique physical and nutritional structure of whole dairy, known as the dairy matrix, means that these natural saturated fats don't act like processed fats in the body. Instead of increasing your risk for disease, full fat dairy is actually associated with lower risk of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes. Next, go organic and, when you can, grass fed. You don't want the hormones, antibiotics, and pesticide residue riding along in conventional dairy. This is just a reminder, something we talk about on this channel a lot. This is an added toxic load your body has to deal with. Your liver is already working overtime during perimenopause and menopause. Adding environmental toxins to your plate directly drives the chronic toxic stress that's at the root cause of your fatigue and hormone imbalances. And then favor fermented dairy like plain whole milk yogurt, kefir, and aged cheeses. Fermentation doesn't just make the dairy easier to digest, it literally changes the structure of the lipids and proteins in the dairy matrix, creating powerful metabolic benefits. Fermentation adds gut healing probiotics that produce short chain fatty acids like butyrate, which actively lower inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect your heart. The actual bacterial fermentation process in foods like aged cheeses creates even higher amounts of that protective vitamin K2 I've been talking about. Then we want to read the ingredient label, not the marketing on the front. Plain, full fat, and a short ingredient list wins every time. If you want or need sweetness, add your own berries. Avoiding added sugars and artificial gums keeps your blood sugar stable. And this prevents the unpredictable energy crashes and brain fog you're working so hard to heal. And an honest caution, because I'm not here to be dogmatic, full fat does not mean unlimited, and it doesn't mean dairy is right for every body. Some women genuinely do not tolerate dairy well. Honestly, I'm one of them. If dairy gives you congestion, bloating, breakouts, or digestive upset, that's your body telling you something, and the answer is not to push through it. I will also say that dairy can take up to 3 days to fully express in your system. So sometimes it's hard to tie the symptom to the actual dairy as the cause. So eliminating dairy and then carefully reintroducing it and really paying close attention to what you're experiencing can help you connect the dots. You really want to pay attention. The point of this video is not eat all the full fat dairy you want. The point is that if you are going to eat dairy, the low fat, sugar added version is the worst version you can choose. Choose quality, choose whole, and choose what your body actually thrives on. This is what root cause eating looks like. If you want to understand the food myths and hidden toxic triggers that have been quietly working against you, grab a copy of my book, What's Your Kryptonite? It walks you through what's really keeping your body stuck. And make sure to subscribe for more practical root cause help. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Be honest with me. Is your refrigerator full of low fat or fat free dairy right now? Are you willing to make the switch? Share it below. I read those comments to better understand what you need most. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. I have more resources to help you navigate midlife. Just go to drgala.com/links and watch my next video where I show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife naturally without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.